Blackout Book Talk, virtually presented by Mackenzie Hackett. About the author. The author's name is Robinson Wells. His short biography is he lives with his wife Erin and their 3 children in the Rocky Mountains and has won many awards for his books. His books include Blackout, Dead Zone, the sequel to Blackout, Going Dark, the prequel novella or short story for Blackout, as well as a separate series with the first book being Variant, and finally the second book, Feedback, which is the sequel. The quote, "Did they just want to watch the world burn?" I chose this quote because it helps develop the theme and is asked many times by different characters throughout the whole entire story. Official summary. Attacks are sweeping across America. Alec and Laura are at the center of the violence. While in a small town out west, Jack and Aubrey feel sheltered from the turmoil. But these 4 teens are about to find their lives intertwined in ways they could never have imagined. And one wrong step could trigger an explosion that ends it all. So I used my summary as a whole to first describe what's going on as a story, and then went more specifically into the different characters and what sides they were on, the first ones being the terrorists, and the second ones being the innocents or heroes of the story. A virus has infected teens from the ages of 13 to 19, making them develop superpowers that are dangerous and destructive. There's no known cure, and mass chaos is spreading throughout the entire United States. What authorities do know is that there's terrorist teens who are attacking landmarks, cities, transportation hubs, and army stations all over the world. Is there a way to tell between the innocent and the deceitful? Will teenagers be forced to choose to fight for good or evil? Alec and Laura are successfully wreaking havoc through the United States, but when their team becomes separated and forced to work for the other side, will they turn on each other and expose the plots they've made? Jack Cooper and Aubrey Parsons used to be best friends, but they slowly drifted apart. Both have heard about the terrorist attacks that are spreading across the nation. Living in a sheltered town in the West, the pair think that they're relatively safe, but when their world is turned upside down and their safety is at risk once again, will they be forced to join forces to make it out alive? What secrets are Jack and Aubrey keeping from each other? Will they be able to stop terrorists from starting the next world war? Find out in Blackout. The setting/genre. I thought the genre of the story could have been science fiction, dystopian, young adult, fantasy, or fiction. The time period takes place in current day time. The place is all across the U.S., more specifically in Mount Pleasant, Utah, temporary quarantine camps across the nation, and in Seattle. The mood could be generally described as suspenseful and action-packed, and the social conditions. So terrorists are causing evacuation all over the U.S., so many houses are abandoned, there aren't many people living in the suburbs, and the army and government are on lockdown, which means there's many of the army members out patrolling regular streets and cities. A lot of people are becoming desperate as more and more places are being destroyed by the terrorists, so they're moving faster into different places. And throughout the story, there's modern technology such as smartphones, computers, and advanced military tools that are used, and all the teens with superpowers in this book are called lambdas, and they have different developed levels of ability. And their abilities range from 1, which is the lowest, to a level 5, which is the highest. Characters. The first character is Aubrey Parsons. She's 17 years old and has the ability to turn invisible. She's very smart, kind, and a very thoughtful person overall, and she becomes popular at her school and around her local community because of her powers, but she has a rough past with an alcoholic father and little money. She's dynamic because she shows a growth in her maturity, but her emotions stay the same. Jack Cooper is 17 years old, and he's a superpower that I won't reveal because it will ruin the story. He used to be best friends with Aubrey, but they kind of became estranged after she became popular. And he wasn't very smart, but he's very caring and loyal to his friends, and he's determined to defeat the terrorists. And he's dynamic because he changes throughout the story, and he shows a wide range of emotions as well, so he's also round. Alec Moore is 19 years old, and he's the leader of the group of terrorists that are attacking the United States. He has the power to implant false memories in people's brains, and as a character overall, he's cruel, proud, deceitful, and very, very clever. And he's flat and static because although he shows emotion, he doesn't really change his viewpoints throughout the story. Laura Hansen. She's 18 and a part of Alec's terrorist group. Her ability is super strength, and she's been trained her whole life to use it. Eventually, she's forced to go undercover as a spy. She's deceiving, loyal, and strongly believes in the terrorist cause, and for that reason she's flat and static because her emotions don't change. Daniel Allen is 17 years old and has the ability to manipulate minerals in the ground. He's the second and final member of Alec's terrorist team and is friends with Laura. He's static and flat because he doesn't change throughout the story. Main conflicts. Man versus man. Alec and Laura versus Jack and Aubrey. Alec and Laura are terrorists that are trying to destroy the world in the United States, and Jack and Aubrey are trying to save it and stay alive. Man versus society. This goes towards Alec, Laura, Jack, and Aubrey because while some of them are bad and some of them are good, the government and the army can't figure out exactly which lambdas are good and bad, so they often target both the good and bad ones. Man versus nature. Jack versus his powers. I can't go into detail, but his powers have something to do with nature, and he kind of has a hard time using them and getting used to them. Man versus self. Aubrey versus her powers, which is invisibility, because she doesn't know whether she should use it or not, and she feels guilty every single time she does. And finally, man versus circumstances, because Laura has to deal with pretending that she's good instead of evil, and Jack and Aubrey because, like Laura, even though they're against each other, have to fight for the army because they're forced to. Theme. I personally think the theme of the story is that we are the ones that control our own destiny in our lives. And I chose this theme because the characters in the story are teenagers and they have superpowers, and the responsibilities they have, like saving the world, aren't something that anyone has, including adults. So all their decisions about whether to follow what they're supposed to do or to break away and try to survive on their own affect whether they live or die. My conclusion. In conclusion, I think you should read Blackout if you're interested in a quick read that is filled with complex thought and very well developed characters. It's filled with suspense, action, and emotion. It's a well-rounded book that covers many genres in one, and it makes you want to turn the pages.